Kalla and I. Kalla, say hi.
Hello.
We're doing this mini episode without my good microphone. I apologize for the audio quality and for my half-hoarse voice, but it's because we have accidentally uncovered a lot of evidence that both Terik and Forkle are evil. One of the Forkle twins. And she just put something together that I've never put together, so I'm freaking out a little bit. I was getting some help from her for the plot of my story, so we were working on that. And we started talking about Terik and how sus he is. And so there's the normal stuff, like how interested he was in Sophie in book 1. He took her, I think in exile as well, took her to look at her human family's house. You know what I'm talking about, Kalla? Mm-hmm. And he's like, contact me anytime. Here's my imparter. Please call me. Call me tomorrow. I'll do a reading on you. I don't know what it's about. Something strong. And then in Everblaze, okay, I'm going in the order of the books. Mm-hmm. So in Everblaze, he says to Keith, I just saved it because I was showing Brooks this. Let me pause this really quick while I look. Okay, here it is. So in Everblaze, first of all, is this Everblaze as well? In the beginning of Everblaze, Terik is with Keith and Sophie visiting the sanctuary to check on Sylvanie. And Keith is saying oh, Sophie, you're worrying enough to make us both sick, and clutching his stomach. And Terik is you can feel what she's feeling without contact? And Keith nods. And Terik says, clearly you have your father's gift. You remind me of him, actually. Although he stroked his chin, his cobalt blue eyes boring into Keith's. There's much of your mother in you as well. It'll be interesting to see who you take after. Hopefully neither, Keith mumbled. Counselor Terik smiled. We all wish to separate ourselves from our families when we're teenagers, but as you grow up, you'll learn to appreciate them. I doubt that. Several awkward seconds passed. Then Terik asked Keith, so what do you want to be then? Keith shrugged. Any openings in the nobility for a professional troublemaker? That earned him a laugh, and Counselor Terik placed a hand on Keith's shoulder. Don't sell yourself short, Keith. I see great potential in you. Yeah, adults love to tell me that. Yes, but I say it with a bit more authority. Need I remind you of my ability? Oh, he does this every further. Counselor Terik was a desk crier, the only one in the entire world. Did you just take a reading of me? Couldn't resist, he admitted. I don't often perform them, but I must admit you fascinate me. Of course I do. You don't fascinate me as much as she does, Terik admitted, pointing to Sophie. Hers was the only reading I couldn't translate. Everything I felt was too divided. Divided how? They both asked. Well, but if I told you that, it might unduly influence you. Best to let you choose for yourself. Wow, you're kind of evil, aren't you? Keith asked. Counselor Terik laughed. Once upon a time, I wasn't all that different from you. Then later, right before Finton burns Kenrick and burns the building down, he says, I'm not sensing any potential for danger. Sure, buddy, either you're lying or you're faking your ability. Okay, so then in Neverseen, this is the big one. This is Neverseen, page 317. And it's right after the council has caught the Black Swan in exile, had to let them go because of the Kenrick cash thing. And then the Black Swan is hey, bestie, can we, trade prisoners, though? We'll give you Gethan if you give us Prentice. And the council's fine, we do want Gethan. So Alina leaps in to the scene. Where's Terik? Bronte asked her. He should be here right now. Alina waved her arms like a spokesmodel, and Terik appeared beside her. Here we go. Something dark was slung over his shoulder, and Sophie realized it was Prentice. The sedatives kicked in once Alina calmed him down, Terik explained through huffing breaths. I'd given him some pretty strong stuff, so he'll probably be out for hours. Guys, okay. And they're blah, 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 trade prisoners. After they do that, he should be fine once the drugs wear off, Terik promised, wiping sweat off his forehead. Well, as fine as he ever is.
Okay, the sweat thing. Okay, he would have had to go on and get it from, a Neverseen.
Well, Alina just left, so he had to have it with him, because it was, 3 seconds delayed. Also, why was he leaping in there after Alina? Why wouldn't they just leap together?
As soon as Alina left, he put it on, probably.
He was go ahead, I'll follow you in just a second. And then as soon as she left, he was supporting, and then left. Because, okay, in Nightfall, whenever they're checking on Prentice and they find out about supporting, Physic adds, but there was a small glowing dot in the center of Prentice's palm, so he was definitely exposed to supporting. And Bronte is there for some reason, and Sophie's like, why'd you do that? And he's like, I didn't, and Alina didn't, and we know Terik didn't because he got his leg crushed 1 book ago. Like, okay, about that. Oh, also, so Bronte is like, yeah, he got his leg crushed 1 book ago. And then Forkle says, he's not lying. Before Sophie could make that very accusation, I spent the majority of the morning in Eternalia personally questioning all 12 counselors, and I kept my mind open to their thoughts to ensure their honesty. So this is page 493, by the way, of Nightfall. And then Bronte says, and I made him bring me to Prentice to see this mark for myself. Even now, I still find it hard to believe that such an insignificant blowing speck on his palm could have harmed him so thoroughly. Like, okay, we know that's how supporting works, though, Bronte. Like, whatever you say, Shannon is just trying to mislead us, right? So Forkle says, I went to all 12 counselors, and I read their minds myself to make sure they're all telling the truth. Which brings me back to part 5000 of Forkle's evil theory. And Kalla had a pretty good theory, because I said, Kalla, I don't think like the Black Swan is evil. I think that one of the Forkle twins was evil, and this is what she said.
So, because one of them is evil, he sent the good one to go to Luminaria because he is from the Neverseen. So he knows that the Neverseen is going to attack that day. So he sends his brother, the good brother, to Luminaria to be killed.
To have the castle crumbled on his head, because don't forget, Sophie, for all of Lodestar, was like, we need to interrogate Gethan. Gethan's the answer. Gethan's hiding something. He's the Neverseen's only telepath. He's got to know something. And Forkle was like, no, I don't think so. Let's stay away from Gethan. And then Sophie's like, I'm tired of being patient. I'm talking to Orly. So she visits her castle and says, hey, get us a meeting with Gethan. Orly's like, I'll try. But she does it. Like, she actually does. Mm-hmm. Something that Forkle, who apparently, allegedly, is supposed to be a leader, just won't do it. He's just like, no. Mm-hmm. So he's like, oh, I can't believe you went to Orly. Fine, we'll go interrogate him. Don't you dare read Gethan's mind. Don't go inside of Gethan's mind. Whatever you do, telepath with an impenetrable mind who cannot be shattered or cannot have their minds read, don't go inside his mind. Like, okay, Forkle, but Forkle's like, but I could go in his mind, but I just couldn't find anything important in there, even though I can get into mine super, super well. I just couldn't get anything important. Gethan was on to me. Indeed. So anyways, and then allegedly one of the Forkles died by accident. Oopsie. I never even thought of that, Kalla, that the Neverseen ally twin could have sent him in, and he's just undermining the Black Swan. But it makes so much sense, too, why he'd be so mad at Sophie for burning down the storehouse.
Yes. Oh my goodness, wait, I never actually thought of that.
Yeah, he's so mad about it. And, Forkle, this is, supposed to be a big success for your organization.
Okay, another thing I just thought of, which I don't know for sure, but in the picture, because you know how they have the picture of Forkle when he's telling them that, he's the other Forkle?
Oh,
in the picture, he's smiling, like he's like,
so, you know? That could just be an artist choice, but you're right. That's, yeah. Okay, what was the other thing? Oh, also in flashback, on page 28 and 29, right at the beginning when they're doing Alvar's trial, Terik is like, well, the reason that we're letting Alvar move back to Everglen is because I performed a new reading, and I saw great potential in him. Or, what did he say? Readings can be difficult to interpret. How do you know he's not worse? And Terik's like, I have no idea. Potential's tricky. We have to live up to it in order to matter. We're all born with certain limitations and qualities that truly shape us. And in Alvar's case, that has all been wiped away. So Terik basically does some weird speech about potential, and he's like, that's why we should let him go to Everglen. Why do you care so much? Why do you care so much? Terik, who is definitely not on the Neverseen.
Add in the part where it's hard to interpret, so that because it's going to be wrong, and he knows it's going to be wrong.
Even in Everblaze, right before Kenrick dies, when he's like, I sense no potential for danger, or at least I mean, his emotions are weird. Maybe that's confusing or descrying. And he's like, are you doubting my abilities? He's so defensive about it. He's always
wait. I wonder if Terik is an empath. I know that there's a whole thing with, him being talentless. But what if because, he has to touch people for his descrying?
Well, he could be any, touch base. He could be a telepath.
That's true.
But, I mean, I don't think he's like a hydrokinetic or something. Yeah. Like, I think I know he's either lying or he's evil. And I'm leaning towards the evil with the supporting thing and him being like, I gave Prentice the sedative. It's gonna keep him out for a while. Don't freak out. Mm-hmm. Like, really, Terik. Now, I also think it's interesting that, like, conversely, I guess, that when Orly was in trouble and being babysat for giving Sophie Kendrick's cash, and then Sophie, like, FaceTimes her on the untraceable, untrackable imparter, and Terik's with her, he never turns her in for that. Like, Orly doesn't get in more trouble for that, and she should have. So I don't know if that's just because he's, like, pretending to be her ally to spy on her. Because he had to be like, yo, why'd you give Sophie Kendrick's cash and a secret imparter to talk to you? Do you think he's, like, onto her about Project Moonlark? And trying to spy on her?
I think he is trying to spy on her 1,010%. Because, like, he had to volunteer to be her babysitter, right? Like, they were like...
I would assume. They were like, who's free? And Terik's like, me!
Yeah, and he never... he never told the other counselors because then they would all want to spy on her too, or like babysit her too.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know.
But I think he also wants to keep her on the council because he wants to spy on the Black Swan through her. Like, if he's figured it out.
That would make more sense. Yep.
Or even just, like, I don't know, like, what's his purpose with that? But there was something else suspicious he did. What was it? I mean, obviously he's scared of doors.
Is that how his leg fell off?
No, it's just because in, like, every book, whenever someone's coming to visit him, he opens the door before they, like, get to it. He's like, hey. Like, no, he's scared of knocking. That's what it is. Okay. Scared of knocking.
I was going to say doors.
Doors. No, he's scared of knocking. Okay, hold on. What was the other thing? I'm going to... Hold on. I'm going to pause the recording while I think. Oh, duh. Okay, Kalla. Sydney and I were talking about this in our Stellar Loon episodes, but how Forkle is like, Elysian? No, not important. Don't go there. Don't investigate that. You found a map to it in Kendrick's cache. It's hidden in your mind. Don't look at it. Don't think about it. It's not real. It's actually pretend, and we hid it in your mind as a trick. It's not funny.
Squiggly lines that you're just like...
Those aren't rivers. Those are just lines. Yeah. What are you talking about? You're so stupid.
Yeah, and like... Yeah.
Like, okay, buddy, whatever you say.
You implanted that in her mind.
Yeah, well, or his twin brother who actually was working for the Black Hawk.
Oh, that's true.
I don't know if I said on the recording, like, this is totally why he's mad about the storehouse. Did I say that?
You did, yeah.
But,
like, he doesn't know.
I think he knows. I think that there's just stuff
that his brother implanted that in her mind, or maybe
probably
he didn't know.
Oh, maybe.
And then Sophie thinks about it, and he's like,
you don't know about that. That's not real. Or even if he did know, like, I feel like, okay, let me think. Even if he did know that it was implanted in her mind, he would just know that he has to, like, obfuscate it. He has to be like, no, that's pretend. Mm-hmm. I think also, I don't know, the Forkles, maybe they got it from Prentice, right? Because I think that Prentice did end up being Kendrick's keeper. I don't know why we'd waste so many pages on something like that. And so I think that then whenever Prentice went to the Black Swan, he's like, hey, I got some memories. You want me to put them in Sophie's mind? And they're like, yeah, do that. Hide it in her mind where they'll get triggered. Yeah. So I think that's why she knows Kendrick's map.
Because it's from... That would make very much sense.
Thank you. I think so. But, okay. Forkle, totally evil. Oh. The alive twin, totally.
Yes.
Totally besties with Gethan, trying to hide something for him.
And that's another thing, like the Forkles have managed to stay alive for so long, and then all of a suddenly he happens to die because the Neverseen are starting to make their plans come out, and
like, oops, Gethan stabbed me. After we blocked him with a mind trick, like, do it again.
Mm-hmm. And like, oh, what was I saying? My brain blanked. Right when the Neverseen just all of a sudden out of nowhere actually start going, he dies. Like, he hasn't, like...
Also, further, back to the whole Gethan stabbing Forkle thing. Gethan stabs Forkle. Orly is still there and alive, and Gethan doesn't kill her. Like, even when I wrote that perspective of it, and I was like, wait, now there's just Gethan and Orly, and she doesn't die. Like, Forkle is dying on the floor. Gethan's there. Does he just like, I love my sword and run away? Like, what is he, what happens next? I had to write in like the floor falling down to get Gethan away, because then she's got to go like beg Forkle to go get healed, because then Sophie shows up and he's like, I already had this conversation with Orly, you have to let me go. But like, the only way for it to stay consistent is Gethan leaves. Like, why is he leaving? And Orly never says anything like, yeah, it was weird, he stabbed Forkle and then he left.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because he just had one job, which was to kill Forkle, and that's what the sword, because didn't he say something about the sword, like, imagine I use that to stab you?
Oh, yeah. Whenever Orly does have the meeting,
Yes.
And the three of them, Forkle, Orly, and Sophie, all go down to interrogate him. And in that interrogation, Forkle's like, don't go in Gethan's head.
Okay,
Which makes sense if he's trying to protect Gethan's plan for how he's about to destroy Luminaria. And she's like, she's trying to intimidate him. Okay.
If it's the good twin, because it wasn't that...
This is before the Peace Summit.
Okay.
Yeah, before the Peace Summit, Orly arranges the meeting, and she's like, I don't know if I can get it because the Peace Summit's coming up, but she convinces them. But anyway, so they're down there, and and Gethan's like, oh, the Peace Summit's coming soon, and Forkle's like, don't go in his mind while he's thinking about the Peace Summit, because he's trying to keep them from guessing. And then, while, what happens? I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, Gethan's like, wouldn't it be ironic if someday I used this sword to cut off your pretty head, to Orly? And she's like, that'd be great. Whatever you say, buddy. Like, totally unintimidated. And Sophie's freaking out. And Forkle's like freaking out too. He's like, don't read his mind. So anyways, it would make total sense if that was the evil twin down there interrogating Gethan, because he doesn't want the good twin to go down there, read Gethan's mind, see the plan, and see that he's about to die. Also, whenever they're leaving, there's a really interesting conversation where I just totally forgot about it until my most recent read. But Orly's like, I think I know your secret identity, to Forkle. And he's like, what? And he's like, oh yeah, like you're just making guesses. And she's like, I've had a lot of theories, but this one feels right. And he's like, well, that's crazy. Changes the subject really fast. So something about that interrogation with Gethan made her be like, I know who you are, which is interesting. And I don't know what she was thinking.
But here's the thing. Remember how they're like, Gethan is the Neverseen's only telepath?
Always talking about that, yeah. The only telepath, yeah.
Maybe that's to keep suspicion away from Forkle.
Oh.
They always have to...
Who first said that? Okay, hold on. We need to figure out who first said that. Because if it was Forkle, I'm going to lose my mind. Hold on, pause. Okay, so in Neverseen, page 88, they're talking to Forkle, and Keith says, was it about Gethan? You promised to tell us about the interrogations. There isn't much to tell, Mr. Forkle said. Each time I've tried to probe his mind, he was unresponsive. So do a memory break, Keith said. You misunderstand what I mean by unresponsive. His head currently appears to be empty. There are no thought processes, no dreams, no memories of any kind. I've never seen a defense like it, and I've yet to figure out how to counter it. Do you think it'd help if I tried to heal him? Sophie asked. Oh, and then Granite says, that'd be far too dangerous. It's possible his goal is to lure you into his mind and trap you there. Isn't that what Fenton tried to do during the healing? And Sophie's like, oh, yeah, I guess he did try to burn me alive, but, like, Fitzy pulled me out of his mind. But you're taking the same risk when you search his mind, aren't you? She asked Mr. Forkle. I am far less valuable than you, as are we all. Okay, so the other collective members seem to be backing him up. Okay, but we haven't even said that Gethan's a telepath yet. So then they do go interrogate Gethan in the beginning of Neverseen. I remember this. Keith slammed Gethan into the wall and pinned him by his neck. What were you planning to do to her? Gethan wheezed for breath. So Gethan is trying to get Sophie to read his mind. He's like, you should read my mind, Sophie. Her telepathy is clever. Too bad she doesn't know how to use it. And stop! Mr. Forkle grabbed Sophie by her shoulders. Do not, under any circumstances, attempt to read his mind. Forkle's right. I can feel too much hope coming off of him. So, like, this is a good misdirect if we don't want to make Forkle evil. Or this could even be the good Forkle. Who knows?
That's
okay.
True.
Let's see. Have we even said that he's a telepath, though?
If Tyrion agreed with keeping, like, it being dangerous, this could be the good Forkle at the time.
It could be. I mean, also, Tiergan is totally Sophie's dad, so he's gonna be more worried about her.
That's actually so true.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. When do we say? Oh, Keith. Why do you sound so afraid? Gethan countered. Wouldn't it be nice to finally feel useful? Not that you haven't had your moments, but someday you'll be more than just the wannabe rebel. Once you stop trying to impress the Black Swan's little doll. Shut up! Keith shouted. Oh, come on. Haven't you always wanted to hear that someone believes in you? We do. Or rather, your mother convinced us that we should. Oh, okay, I forgot about this era. Okay, pausing again to try to figure out when we say that Gethan is even a telepath, because I'm lost. Still looking. I think we found the thing where we say the Neverseen's only telepath. It is in Lodestar. It is verbatim in there. That's good. But also, I remembered another thing, Kalla, that we said before was like sus of Forkle. In Neverseen, when Finton is alive, Forkle is like unfazed. Like, everyone else is freaking out. Sophie's freaking out. And she's like, so Kenrick could... And Forkle goes, no, let that thought go now. It will only distract you from our bigger problems. Which is a weird response. Like, I can't be the only person who said, why would we let that thought go now? Why couldn't someone who established physical contact with Finton before Finton clearly got away, probably by the main mode of transportation, light leaping, have traveled with him and be captured? Like, why aren't we considering this? It's because Forkle dismissed it so fast and Sophie's a child. But if that was the Forkle twin that's on the Neverseen, or working with them, or whatever, evil, however you want to frame it, then you could totally be misleading them, because he'd be like, yeah, and we don't want anyone else to know that he's captured, because we need his information about Elysian, because we need to get there before Sophie does. And that's why he's trying to keep her away, because they still haven't figured out Kenrick's information about Elysian. And that's also why, after she opens Kenrick's cast, she's like, so what'd you see? Tell me everything. What was in there? Tell me all the details, actually. Can I read your mind? I'll pull that up in a second. But before we get there, we have in Lodestar, at the beginning, right after Keith blew up Foxfire, so page 43. And she's talking to Magnet Leto, so Forkle. And she asks if Kenrick's her dad, and he's like, Kenrick wasn't involved with Project Moonlark. That's all I can tell you. Some secrets must remain hidden. Besides, we have much more pressing matters to discuss, like that other significant piece of information that was learned from Mr. Simpson. So Keith tells her. Did he really say that Gethan was the Neverseen's only telepath? And he's like, because it's generally important. So Forkle wasn't the one who knew that. He said, either way, it means I should press the council about allowing a visit to Gethan. So this has got to be the good twin who's talking to her right now. Because he's saying, well, like, then we need to go talk to Gethan. Because all of a sudden, he changes his tune. And he's like, be patient. We'll set up a meeting one day. And that's when eventually she's like, why is this taking so long? I'll talk to Orly myself.
Because the two Forkle twins.
Because one of them is not following through on the thing he's supposed to be doing. Yeah. So anyways, very interesting plot twist here.
And... the good one starts getting suspicious.
Oh, and that's why he gets killed off in this book. Yeah, because he's like, oh no, he's on to me. He's starting to realize what's happening.
And so he couldn't anymore, so he had to go send him off to get killed.
So anyways, this is all of our new evidence. So Terik being evil, Terik totally supporting Prentice, and I mean... he could be lying about his ability, or it could be true, and he's just, like, definitely evil. Which I'm almost leaning towards that. Because, like...
I think he's talentless.
That could also be true. He could be talentless, and that's why he's on the Neverseen. But I also think that, like, there's some pretty... Like, even if he isn't talentless, that's only more evidence that he's on the Neverseen. Because he totally supported Prentice, and, like, why would we do that? Unless, we're not going to make this conspiracy any deeper. We'll go with that. And then Forkle, one of the twins, is evil. For sure.
And then the good twin started getting sus, so he killed him.
Because, like, why after Lodestar did things go downhill so much? Why did Vespera do everything she did and like, and kill Biana almost?
The Black Swan was all far behind, and they
used
to be 10 steps ahead.
Yeah, they were 10 steps. They were in control. Like, in Neverseen, the Black Swan was chilling. But all of a sudden afterwards, we have that Troll Hive incident, we have the Vespera incident, we have whatever happened in Legacy. I don't even know half of it.
Oh, it's because I'm missing half of myself. No, it's because you're literally legitimately evil.
It's because you're working against your own organization. Yeah. Anyways, or there's a theory that he's, like, on both, too. Like, that he's just, whichever one overturns the council, he will swing to. Which, fine, but he's working with the Neverseen right now. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
No, not that I can think of.
I think that, and Terik being like, Alvar, we're giving you a chance. I hope you realize how much this means. There's also, in book 2, right when Sophie finds Sylvanie, Terik, this is why I don't think he's on the Black Swan, which, I mean, obviously there's him supporting Prentice as well, but, whenever Sophie first finds Sylvanie, he's like, isn't it interesting that the long-lost elf created by the rebel organization can suddenly find the long-lost alicorn? It's almost like someone is manipulating things behind the scenes. And they're like, are you implying that the Black Swan has been hiding Sylvanie for all these years for her to find? And Terik's like, am I implying that? And then Orly's like, that's impossible, the Black Swan can't do that. And Kenric's like, yeah, Orly's right. Whatever comes out of her mouth is probably true. And she said that, so I agree. So, it's almost verbatim what happens. So, that's another, like, I feel like, despite Terik constantly voting in Sophie's favor, I feel like that's a strange little cover for him actually working for the Neverseen. In him, I feel like him being like, we should look into this rebel organization that knows too much is a sign that he's not on the Black Swan.
Yeah. And he never, there's the big thing is, like, the council they always want to try to catch the Black Swan. They never want to worry about the Neverseen because...
Well, it's because they didn't know they existed. Like, they didn't really know there were 2 rebel organizations until the end of Everblaze.
But then, even then, they still didn't like the Black Swan.
Well, yeah, the Black Swan was, like, public enemy number 1 for a while, because they were, like, in denial that there was a second one.
So, was Terik, like, leading them away? Like, was Terik purposely being like, Black Swan, Black Swan, Black Swan?
True. That could be true. Yeah, because, I mean, probably... Well, okay, we know that Bronte was like, it doesn't exist. Actually, there aren't rebellions here in the Lost Cities. So, I don't know.
I think that's just stubbornness from Bronte.
No, obviously, but, like, it wasn't him who was being like, let's pursue the Black Swan. And, like, I don't know who else it would be, because we don't know that much about most of the rest of them. And obviously, Kenric and Orly wouldn't be like, hey, let's investigate the Black Swan.
It's Terik.
Obviously. It only leaves Terik. I mean, maybe Emery. We just don't know that much about anyone else. It wouldn't really it would be like, what, Zarina wants to know about the Black Swan and why?
I don't know.
Who's Claret? I don't even know. I mean, I do, but you don't. Like, what's Claret's ability?
She can talk to animals.
Well, she's a polyglot and a flasher, I think. She has 2 abilities.
I got that right.
Yeah.
She's the polyglot.
She is the one who calls the beetle.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is, like, the rest of them are... It would be too insignificant for them to be the ones, like, leading that charge. So, I don't know. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed what is, like, the length of a real episode at this point. The difference is that I'm not editing this, so it's easier to post. And it's 30 minutes, Kalla.
I need to go to bed.
Yeah, she needs to go to bed before she gets in trouble. And I am going to upload this. But anyways, thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoy these theories. Please let us know if this made you think of anything else in the comments. If there's other evidence that we missed about Terik or Forkle. Because I just hadn't put together that specific thing about Forkle now. And before I was like, haha, his one evil twin, sure. That's might be true. But now I'm like, kind of 100% believe it, you know? And if it's one of those things that, like, if it doesn't happen, I'm like, Shannon, missed opportunity here. Come on. Why?
Yeah.
Anyways, Kalla, thanks for being on my podcast.